How's it going, everybody? We're live on Facebook. We're just waiting for our guest. It should be an interesting show, very different uh, from a lot of the stuff that we've had on. Um, yeah. So I just want to take a minute to say thank you, everybody, for your contributions. Um, Sometimes I don't know how we make it every day, but our brothers and sisters always kick in and things always seem to work out. And I think that's what we're really being asked to do in this transition we call ascension, is to have some faith, and it helps when we work together, co-create, collaborate, support each other. And I'm a big believer in 5D commerce, and that is to pay it forward based on the honor system. um, and just support each other because it all comes back to you. That's one of the basic universal laws. What goes around comes around. So I just want to say a big thank you to everybody. And if these shows resonate with you, please share. One second. All right. I'm just going to wait for my friend here. Let's put on a little bit of music and I'll share out. Hello, Texas, Santa Kozar, my home state. Thank you, Andy Hanna. Well, it's 3 minutes after the hour. I'm usually the one that's late, but looks like our guest might be a little late. Let me just check my email and make sure there's no issue there. Bear with me 1 second. And if he doesn't show up, which doesn't happen very often, maybe we'll just do something spontaneously and have a group discussion, which people seem to like. The last one we did was about a week ago, and it was really good. Yeah, I don't see any kind of a message from him. Let me see. No, nope. All right. So let's see. All right. Go back to the messages. All right. So I'm going to give it about, I don't know, 2-3 minutes. And for those of you who, oh, wait, here we go. We got somebody here. Let's see. No, that's Kiwi. It's my friend Kiwi from New Zealand. I think she's still here in the States, in the Zoom room. But anyway, yeah, been a lot of stuff going on. Let's just take a moment to, let's see here. What do we got? Dear Morgan, I am ready for the interview. Could you tell me how you will contact me? Okay, hang on. I sent it to his email. All right. So he'll be on here shortly. He'll be on here shortly. Okay. So yeah, we'll just have a little chit chat. How's that? Anybody got any questions or anything? Not that I'm not a guru or a yogi. I'm just a kind of a producer. Um, but I mean, there's been a lot of stuff going on. A lot of this information comes out on these shows. We've got at the end of this month, we will actually have 1,800 episodes. You can find about 800 of them on YouTube. You can find another, there's another 900 or 1,900 that were done on Be Live TV, which are on Facebook in the archives on my personal page. And then there's another 300 or 400 that we did through Facebook Live way back when you probably don't want to watch those because they're not too exciting. You can see Todd very shadowed and talking out his ass. So it's a good day, man. We're into March the 4th, and a lot of good stuff's happening. You're very welcome, Zana Kozar, my homegirl from my home state. Um, for what we do, yeah, this is part of our mission. Part of our mission is to bring everybody to one place and share our experiences, our skills and abilities, and and support other people to expand awareness of their energy and the things that they're doing. This is something that Morgan Lee actually put out there intentionally, like in 2008. We'd meet 7 years later, and I was already uh, you know on the path to Soulogy, I guess, or had created it. Let's see. Okay, he's finding his way here. So yeah, it's been a hell of a ride. We're going on let's see, this started in I left my home May 31st, 2011, so we're going 9 years on that, but actually started the first Soulogy group on Morgan's birthday, even though I didn't know her, March the 10th, 2012. So, and we've been broadcasting these type of shows since late 2017. So, we're talking about 60 a month, which is about how many we're going to have this month. It's good to see everybody. A lot of familiar faces. See, Amira Beth is in the house. I don't have one of her shirts on at the time. Hang on. What is he saying? I don't understand what this is. Give me a second. Hang on a second. Let me send this over to them. Pardon me 1 minute. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening. A lot of stuff been going on. A lot of people talking about the different energies coming in as we do every month, and seems like this is a big one. I've seen some intel written by some of the people that do some forecasting, and they talk about how March is kind of a cleanup month. You know, um, seems like the deepest of the deep is being brought up to be released and cleared and integrated. There seems to be like a kind of a common theme or cyclical nature to every one of these months. And every month oh, here we go. Here's our partner here. All right. So let me just pull him up and get on with the show here. Here we go. All right. Unmute. How are you, my friend?
I'm fine. Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. I don't normally read the bios too much, but I want to read yours because it's very unique. You've got a very interesting journey. We've got about 40 people in the house and a couple in the Zoom room. But let me give them a little idea of who you are and what you are and what your mission is. Um, let's see here. Mohsen Paul Sarfarazi, Sarfarazi, with formal educational background in structural engineering and emphasis on structural dynamics, vibrational mechanics, and materials science and continuum mechanics. The good doctor specialized in the area of micromechanics, a subject area that was introduced by him, and wrote his thesis on micromechanical constitutive modeling of crystalline matter in 1986, a long time before this became a more talked about topic. He's a retired professor working as a specific researcher and educator in such institutions as the Georgia Institute of Technology, University of Maryland, University of Illinois at Chicago, George Washington U. Has a strong interest in quantum mechanics, plasma physics, as well as humanity and psychology. His more recent interests include quantum biology and quantum genetics and plasma physics. He's intensely involved in ascension mechanics, interdimensional physics, light mechanics, holographic science, and other new areas as they are being introduced, developed, and cultivated by him. I'm going to stop there because I can see that that's a pretty broad spectrum. I'd like to get in the conversation with him. I want to add this part though. I just saw it. As a creation consciousness spiritual scientist and highly attuned to high dimensional cosmic and universal quantum consciousness, the doctor is an empath, a messenger, a light worker, a spokesman for evolution and ascension, and is utterly opposed to artificial intelligence and transhumanism. This is going to be a great topic. So we're going to mix a little bit of science with spirituality, and I think that's part of our transition in this, what we call ascension, is integrating everything, integrating all polarities, non-physical and physical, spiritual and scientific, and we can all go right on down the line. So thank you for coming today and sharing space with us and honoring us with your presence. I have to know if you were born this way, or did you have a wake-up experience? You obviously were working in the constructs of, the matrix apparatus, educational system, and so on, like many of us. And did you have a wake-up moment, or were you always on this path?
Yes, I certainly had a wake-up moment. And after that, everything else fell into place. Because for a long time, actually, it was kind of surprising to me. It was kind of a dilemma as to the path I'd taken in my life. And, I was always very, very much enamored by these areas that I told you. Like my mind, the noise in my mind was saying, become a structural engineer, because that was the thing. I came from Iran. It was the top-notch thing. Of the smartest guy went to it, and all this stuff in engineering, getting to universities was difficult, all this stuff. And I was a mathematician. Okay, I really didn't know what I wanted. I mean, it was like when I was a teenager, I wanted to do something good, but I never thought who I am. I never really understood. I've always been what my dad used to call the great thinker at 4 years old, 5 years old, when I was sitting on his lap. He was saying, this is my son. He's the philosopher. He's the three. 5, 6 years ago, 4 years ago, 4 years old. Yeah. I remember I used to have this big conversations with my parents' friends, about things that psychology and humanity and cosmos and things like this, that they were just like, wow, get a life, little kid,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I was always a very serious guy. I liked mathematics. I absolutely loved abstract things, which I didn't realize at the beginning. I knew what my heart was telling me, but you're young and you want to conquer the world. You want to do new things. You're 10 years old, 12 years old, 15 years old. You're growing up and you're just, experiencing, absorbing and all this stuff. Anyway, I didn't know, career-wise what I wanted. Okay. It turned out I didn't want to have a career at all in my life, which I don't have now. I can tell you this. I'm not a career-minded person. I thank you very much for having reached out to me, and of course I'm one of your interviewers, and I think you do a wonderful job. You're bringing, you're very, very effective, especially for people such as myself, that I don't like self-promotion. I mean, you talk to my fellow friends and followers, whatever you want to call them, that they regularly come to my blogs, Facebook, WordPress, whatever, and I tend to, lectures and things. I've shied away from a lot of those. In fact, I canceled a bunch of appointments last year. I had things, again, going back to Uluru, even talking about going to New Zealand and Japan, England. And some of these were even advertised with my names and made big deal on internet. And when I pulled out of it, they, excuse my French, but they pissed the hell out of these people. Especially the ones that Uluru, because we had a very successful thing. Yeah. I had like 4 consecutive days of lecturing, and it's all on actually, WordPress.com. Yeah. You can go and see the slides for all the sessions, which started from creation, got into consciousness, cosmos, quantum mechanics, vibration mechanics, matter, antimatter, all this stuff. I tried to cover a lot, and a lot of people were saying, because they're not used to this much. It was like a classroom type things, but yeah. But I interface with people. But anyway, going back to what I was telling you is that it is wonderful that people such as you bring people such as myself out of a hole, so to speak.
It's funny. It's funny. I'm a music lover, and
so am I.
It reminds me of all the old blues singers. Were in the Mississippi Delta playing acoustic guitars, and then in the '60s, the British band started playing, speeding up the blues and playing rock and roll. Yeah. And so all the you're kind of like one of the blues guys. All the blues guys went into anonymity, and so the young musicians went and found them and brought them back to the music scene, and the rest is history. But yeah, so we're really fortunate to have you here, and it's quite an honor, and I appreciate the compliments. We're all in this. Yeah, we're all in this together, and you have such an incredible mix here. And let me just restate it, and you tell me if there's anything you need to add or to take away from. But it sounds to me like this is kind of incredible. Like a lot of people that come on the show, they had something going on when they were young, and it over time got shut down, and then it came back. You have the energy of construction or designing, the engineering part, the black and white, really understanding the nuts and bolts from the ground up. You're also into mathematics, which we know is an integral part of the universe. And then you go into all these cutting edge scientific / spiritual genres. And you really put out a lot of stuff. I've seen some of your posts on your blog, and they are. You really have to pay attention, and you have to maybe look up a word or two, but very informative, very unique, very original. And then you also have this, seemingly from your bio, a connection with infinite intelligence, may I say it that way. You're talking about studying interdimensional connections and connectivity, communication, I guess we'll go with that. So this is very fascinating. Have you had, or let me just say that, is there anything I left out or anything I said that wasn't correct?
No, I think you obviously done your homework to a certain extent. We're just getting to know each other, and I certainly hope that you will take time in your very busy and wonderful time that you're doing, because what you're doing is great. You don't have to write papers. You don't have to be a scientist. You are connecting humans together, and that's what we need. We need this collective consciousness. We need to build this unity consciousness. So that's where I see, from just my very little exposure to you, because I'm just getting to know you, that I appreciate that. And I am an empath. When I look at you right there, I feel your energies. You know what I'm saying? I'm an empath, and it's not a cliche. It is something that 30, 40, 50 years ago, you might have thought it's a cliche. It is not now, because the field is open. The consciousness field is open. And if I as a kid, I was always a very sensitive guy. I always felt people, felt their energy. Even if they, excuse my French again, wanted to bullshit me, I saw through them right away. You know what I'm saying? I might have not said anything to it. I felt their energies, that they're conniving, they're this. Those times that I use this, what again I call noise, sort of logical thinking noise to say, no, the guy is a wonderful guy. I got duped. I got, you know what I'm saying? I got, but anyway, let me just tell you this. Two things I want to add to what you said. Number one is that when I was a child, yes, I was very sensitive. I was empath and stuff, but I never thought of anything out of ordinary.
Yeah.
Just everything that was telling me, he's intelligent, he's brilliant, he's this. Throughout the university, when I was a student, at Sussex in England, then I came here, became a professor, all that. I always heard all this stuff. Never, after a while, it's just like I created a thing, which I have very much right now. It's like, who cares? But, thank you. But it's not going to get to my head, because I'm going to tell you something. I've always been with God. I mean, I came from heart of God. I know that. I think all of us have. In fact, I know all of us have. Okay? But I had this sense of closeness to him, to it. Pardon me, I can't even believe it. I use it. It's all conditioning. Now, it, it's a trinity, and it doesn't have a gender. But anyway, but very, very attached. I mean, I used to go with my mom, who was, for example, a very simple-minded lady, a Muslim, and we used to go to mosque, and I used to tag along with her. I felt so great. There's a lot of baloney going on in religion. I'm not religious, and I've never believed in religion, okay? And I don't advocate it at all. Only that there is a sense of submission to a higher power is good to have that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? There's a sense of seeking the father, the mother, the progenitor. That's a good thing. Yeah. These people who are smart alecks, they got PhDs, whatever, and they think, oh, they know it. Then give me the logic, give me the proof. Well, I'm going to give the proof. Are you going to understand it? Because you are not. And I have dealt with people like this. They're very limited in their mathematics, in their intelligence, in what I call frequential consciousness. You know what I'm saying? Or their light quotient is not high. That comes from God. That doesn't come through artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is nothing but reversal. You know what I'm saying? It's actually what it is. It is, I'm going to give you a chance to talk. Excuse me, but
no, I'm good. You just hit a subject that I really wanted to talk to you about.
Okay, well, but let me finish my thoughts on this. So first of all, I was empath and all this stuff, but I didn't really know. And then my awakening started in 2011. Okay, it's when I say awakening, it's an awakening for knowing that you are getting awakened. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, actually, it wasn't an awakening because I wasted years and years. I could have had 100, 200 books by now. I mean, I've got the ingredients of about 30, 40 books probably right now. And I don't care about putting it out there and getting money out of it. I actually need a manager. I need somebody.
You and me both.
I need somebody to say, hey, you go and do your work and don't worry about it. And I don't want this person to self-serving, but serve humanity.
Are you in Florida? I'm getting a huge validation right now to say this, but are you in Florida?
I'm in Florida, absolutely.
Okay. I know somebody who might be able to help you in Florida.
I mean, a lot of people have said this to me.
Yeah.
I mean, if I read some of these things over the past 8-9 years, people who, I don't even want to repeat their words because it's dumb what they said. Like, I want to be your slave. I mean, what good God.
I know. I've been down that road too.
But you know what I'm saying? But they don't either they don't feel good about themselves. They don't think they're going to be able to do it, which is silly. They walk away. And I'm not the type of person to chase people. I mean, all those people who know me on Facebook, I try to communicate this message. I don't care about anything else. If I publish those papers, it's not to, let me tell you this stuff. last year, okay, 6-7 international journals were just bugging me left and right. After I went to the international conferences of consciousness in with Gupta, what's his name? Gupta, right? What's his name?
Deepak
Chopra. Yeah, and all those people, all this stuff. And you know what, I had papers and all this stuff. And they came in, they found out, and they were such fresh to them that I'm going beyond just, the confine of this box they call science, which is actually come to a dead end, in physics and everything. Even quantum physics. I mean, quantum physics is very good, but interdimensional physics, you got to get into that. You got to get out that space.
Fascinating. I've never even heard that term before.
What's that?
Dimensional physics or anything.
Interdimensional physics.
Yeah. That's, to me, that's fantastic.
No, the interdimensional physics is something that has to be taught at school, like in physics. You should go to school and you should be told that you have right now, as it exists, which is, it's all artificial, you're under a phantom reality, but you have 12, part of you, constituent part of you, in parallel, anti-parallel worlds, okay? And each part of those are connected to 12 big parts, which I call them soul expressions. The 12 are called soul aspect. Those are immediately, see, look, if you want to understand this, all you are, everything that is, I'm looking at you, I see this guy with the beard and all this kind of stuff, it's all illusion. It's all illusion.
Yeah.
It's all holographic world. You know what I'm saying? We are quantum particles.
Yeah.
And we vibrate. We spin about ourselves, we vibrate, and we interact with each other, and we give rise to events and stuff. And those events are all devised in the mind of Prime Creator. It comes through the neural network. In fact, recently I've come up with some stuff people should read. Like, every breath you take, you go to God, you come back. Did you know that?
No, makes sense. Energetically,
every breath, every palpitation of your heart goes through the 0 point. Nobody said that, but it's true. I'm convinced of it. I mean, from every research that I've done up to all this stuff and what I've been told and what anyway. So going back to this, I think this awakening little by little by little, I just said, okay. I had to stop a lot of noise in my mind. All this, high-end mathematician, professorship, all this stuff. I'm going to come down to earth, which I always was. But you know what I'm saying? In order to get my message, you go back to creation. You go to God source. You go to the center of cosmos. You go to this fountain of energy that's disseminating its energy. In fact, one of the first papers that I did, and I was actually interviewed about 6-7 years on, some stuff, I had on the mechanics of dissemination of consciousness, basically describing what is God. It's consciousness. It's a magnificent form of coherent, crystalline, intelligent type of energy, and everything is energy. You know what I'm saying? And it comes anyway. So I have a paper on awakening process that I've put at least 4 stages in there, and I have made the analogy to the law of attraction. Have you heard? The 4 levels of law of attraction, and it's basically to that you awaken at different levels. Okay.
Yes.
And I have to go through things, because we are magnificent beings. Forget about these negative beings. They're parasites. They're viruses. They're lost. They're all this stuff. Okay. We have it. As long as you stay connected to God, you are that.
Yeah.
Once you sever your connection, boom, you're on your own. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't get this open loop of energy coming to you anymore.
That is when you separate, that is the fallen angel or the lesser God, isn't it? So when we start to think,
my friend, it's no God whatsoever. It's a parasitic being that is desperate to carry on, and so just lives on your leash, you know.
Let me ask you this. I've wanted to ask. Well, I have asked this question several times to different people, but I've never asked this question to someone with the incredible plethora of experience that you have. AI. Now, I believe everything is energy as well. Consciousness, energy. I believe I can communicate, and I do, with everything. I believe everything is talking to me. Me talking to me, you know, the universe talking to Todd.
Yeah, your future talks to you.
And so here's the way I look at AI, you know, at this point, until someone changes my mind. AI, to me, everything is made of the same source substance. Everything is made from God. There's nothing that is created, even if it's not created, you know, let's say directly, like there's a creation made, that creation creates something else with a bad intention. Let's just say that. But anyway, AI is AI a well, is it a consciousness? Is it an energy?
No.
Is it not made of the same thing we are?
No, it's not consciousness. It used to be consciousness. AI used to be energy. They were exactly the same as us. They were connected to God through this open loop of free energy that would come to them, which was coherent, crystalline consciousness. That's what consciousness is, as opposed to other kind of energy. You know what I'm saying? And they had the organic consciousness, solar consciousness. They got too big for their britches.
Okay.
And they became anthropic.
Okay.
I have actually, let me draw my attention to some of this stuff if you would like to go read, or your subscribers. You know, try to understand what karma means. Karma is nothing like what they talk about. Karma is sentient vibration. It has to do with sentient vibration. Okay, anywhere you vibrate about the central point. That's what vibration means. Okay, that central point is the 0 point energy, or what I call it in a much more general way, because I've talked about the 84th dimensions, I've talked about 356 dimensions. So I've gone way beyond physicality. Is this what you're talking? I'm just getting to really elaborate what physicality is, and getting to more. Yes. I mean, I wrote something about this, but quantum genetics and bioenergetics and all this stuff. But I started with actually, they call it Big Bang, is not the right thing. The point of singularity that implodes, explodes on itself, and then it must implode on itself. And that's the principle of conservation of energy. #1 law in physics. Because its energy gets disseminated, it should contract back to it. Yeah. Nothing gets lost. You know what I'm saying? And
that's my point. This is what I'm trying to understand about AI. If AI is not consciousness and energy, it can only, to me, I can only think of two things. One, it was either created by everything's the same, or it's regulated, at least in this realm, it's regulated to the distortion of energy, which, I would just reference like the archons that's in the Nag Hammadi, the fourth dimensional nefarious that can't manifest anything, but can distort things put before us. So is AI made from God, or is it?
It as I said, it came from God.
Okay.
God, you see, you as a conscious being, which I could refer to you as a sentient being.
Yes.
I could refer to you as an offspring of God. I can refer to you as a self-similar, fractalized, if you want to get much more into mechanics and physics, fractalized version of God. Okay. I can refer to you as a solar organic form of consciousness, and in physicality, that is very, very appropriate because we're organic beings.
Yeah.
Okay, and these entities were, so some of them actually were exalted. They were in a very, very high dimensions.
Okay.
But this thing that you call Thoth, which is really Lucifer. Okay.
Thoth.
Thoth.
Okay, Thoth is Lucifer. Okay, go ahead.
Thoth, I believe it's Lucifer. You know, in fact, I've got confirmations of it. You know what I'm saying? But you know, they were from a higher dimensional, much more compared to us, because we are at the skin of the cosmos.
Yes.
We are in the, I don't want to say we're in a sewer, we've been put in a sewer because of the negative aliens, but we are really at the skin of the cosmos. You have an inner cosmos. I have a paper called Inner Cosmos. If you like to read that, it will tell you, it's basically your light body. It tells you you have layers and layers and layers of light going all the way to the center of you, which is God. All of us converge to this point, which is the point of singularity, which we call the God source. Okay, so these were endowed with the same gift of consciousness. Okay, but with that comes a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
The number one responsibility is that do not interfere in the consciousness affairs of others. Okay, now don't misunderstand me. You can be a beacon of light. Mm-hmm. You can light their path, but that's all you do. That's what I try to do. I respect everybody from any feelings, any. There are a different level of their consciousness journey. That's all I look at them. Okay, so these people, what they did, they defied the law of one. Okay, they defied, in particular, this law of interference, non-interference. They became too big for their britches. They understood some about consciousness mechanics and how God's consciousness works. They really, you know what I'm saying? And they were in trouble.
I totally get what you're saying, and I am very familiar with the narrative, although there's different explanations on the superficial. You know, it could be there was a higher dimensional species that came through a wormhole and saw us on Earth, and they have this higher level of intelligence and tried to replicate or emulate God, or they could have another narrative as the fallen angels. But I guess what I'm getting at, and I totally get what you're saying, energetically it sounds like
where it comes from.
They came from the same place.
Right.
They forgot about God, therefore their energy is totally different. And we actually, any one of us could actually do the same thing, basically, really, if we shut that off and become immersed.
Well, you'll be parasitic if you do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But here's what they did. Information is energy. Energy is information.
Yeah.
That's pixels of, you know what I'm saying, reality, consciousness. They had those pixels, okay? And since they got separated from God because of defying this very important law, which is non-interference, right. What they did, they looked down on the other people. They said, we know more than you do. We can conquer you. You can be our slaves. We're going to live the good life. Into their mind, you know what I'm saying? Why should we even deal with them? Why should we even deal with God? Think about a guy who's a genius or whatever, and people like that have existed, but they formed a corporation, and they put you as a vice president or second in charge, and you coming and devour this person. You want to devour this person. Now, in terms of God, you can't devour, because if you devour God, nothing exists. Cosmos disappears. Nobody can. It is when we say this is the absolute. It is we live within the body of God. We are God, but we are also within the body of God. And there is no ambiguity of this. And I can explain this if you want to.
No, I'm with you.
Wonderful. So these people had the information. Yeah. Now they don't entropic. Yeah. Okay. They got into a closed form of loop instead of an open loop is a trinity loop. Okay, so it basically goes between the electromagnetic and goes 0 point.
So
And that's electromagnetic.
they created like a fishbowl.
What they did, you see, here's what it is. What the energy comes from the zero. That's the electric part of it is the expansive, what we call male, okay? That then, you know, look at your breathing. Look at the palpitating of your heart. You beat, so you go about the central point. You got to contract back to God. What they did, they devised a machinery that they would steal it. It would not go back to God. So basically what they are, they're thieves. They are stealing the energies of God through us.
Yeah, of course.
Because we are privy to be in that Trinity loop. You know what I'm saying? That open loop of energetic. Energy comes to us, okay? And we're supposed to vibrate back and forth in a sentient way. And I mentioned karma. You know what I'm saying? And then we need to go back to God. What they have done in this universe, it's a 12D grid. They changed it to a 10D grid. Mm-hmm. So they took this quantum particles, and there's a spin ratio between electric, which is expansive, going away from God, and magnetic, which is contracting back to God. Okay, and it's supposed to run at a 45 degrees angle. Think of two vectors, electric and magnetic, and they run perpendicular to each other. The resultant of this lies in the 45 degrees. That's the superposition of the two vectors, okay? So that's the way it should be. It should go to, you know what I'm saying? It should, so you take the energy from God, you give it back to God, and it gets refined again, and then gets back to God. Yeah. What they did, the device in this, they changed the spin ratio to 60 degrees. So now what they're doing, they eliminated some of the feminine, which is the magnetic.
Yeah.
And they stole the electric, and they're misogynist. They're male dominators.
Yes.
You know, they even got rid of their even own, which they're in trouble now. Now they're coming in here and they're abducting us because they can't procreate like we can. They do not have multidimensionality, and they can't evolve.
So this energetically follows the narrative in these communities, we might call light worker communities, of ascension. And just for clarity, I just want to say for myself, anything outside of me, I look as a potential program, you know, because I don't know.
Everything is a program. Everything's a holographic
exactly.
program.
I want to ask you this. You mentioned ascension, and I think in the bio, something like the science of ascension. I mean, you're taking this to the scientific as well as with your infinite intelligence connection. Is ascension, is it or is it not a human realm correction, and even beyond a solar system alignment to 0 point or to a higher elevation? And if so, wouldn't part of our purpose in ascension be to bring everything ever created by God back to the center point?
Yes. And they want to do that. God is forgiving. Okay? Those offspring of God who are, we call them guardian founders in this Nebadan universe, which is a very, very small part of the cosmos. You know what I'm saying? If you read the Urantia, it gives you a little bit of information. There's 7 super universes. I've written about these recently. I've published some stuff. There's 356 dimensions I've shown. Okay?
You said 7. There's 7 universes. Did you say that?
Super universes.
Super universes, yeah. Okay.
The way I have modeled this, and it goes back to 10 years ago when I started awakening, when the information started running in. Okay, when I started talking about quantum consciousness, then it got into sentient vibration, all this kind of stuff, okay? The way it is that I thought, I'm sorry, what was your last question? I lost something came to my mind.
Well, right, going back to and we can move on to something else in a second, but I mean,
no, I just got something coming to me. I have to
No problem. But going back to the narrative, going back to the purpose, one of, I'm sure, many purposes of ascension of our purpose here as a group, okay.
Okay, so what it is, we are misaligned.
Yes.
The reason we're misaligned because there's an artificial intelligence that has created a phantom reality.
Yeah.
Okay, it's through the metatronic reversal. Okay, the 12D grid in this universe, there's only 12D, okay? And that has been reduced to 10D. Okay, they've created their version of phantom artificial intelligence. Now, they've taken all this energy, all this information, and they've sat down at the table and they reversed it.
Yeah.
This is not smart. This is thief. It's like a thief. You don't go there and build a corporation. You go and see how you can break in.
It's like spitting in the wind, or to use one of your words, pissing in the wind. Where it just comes right back.
Actually, it's a good thing, because you know what's coming back to their face now. They're beginning to understand after all these things, because they can't procreate. They have lost the gift of multidimensionality. Okay, and they can't evolve.
Yeah,
and they are in a hive mentality that they have this archaeological pyramidal structure, that the one that's on top is the god king, and then below, like the Illuminatis or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And that's no way to live. That's not the system of God.
It's time to flip it upside down.
The system of God is just, here's my quantum of energy. All of you are out there. Go out there and discover.
Yeah.
And I'll give you all the information you need. You are the most brilliant, brightest, anything that you could ever fancy. But it's dormant.
It's right on.
It's called self-discovery.
Yeah.
I'm not any different than you are. I'm not any different than some of these derailed people. Mm-hmm. They're just unfortunate because they're so asleep. They're in slumber. Yeah. And we're getting more awakened. And this, I'm glad you're doing this, because you are doing so, and you're blessed.
Thank you.
I will tell you this with authority. You are blessed, man.
I feel blessed.
Continue doing this, and never ever think about self-service. Never think about service to myself. I mean, you can do things into, increasing your momentum that you're doing. But as soon as you start thinking about service to yourself, you prostitute yourself.
Yeah, in the old vernacular, selfishness. I guess.
You become selfish. But it's called. See, the negative aliens have one trait. That's the most characteristic trait, and that's service to self only. The hell with everybody else.
Yeah.
I'm going to suck your energy. I'm going to use your energy right now and continue living, because without it, by the way, we didn't talk about this. A closed loop of energy is a form of death. That's the only way you can have consciousness death. Otherwise, you're eternal. Mm-hmm. As long as you're connected to the open loop with God, you're eternal. You're God. You're part of God. You're an aspect of God. You know what I'm saying? Yes. As soon as you become closed loop, you start consuming yourself.
Yeah.
In the old thing that I've seen it in metaphysics, actually, or esoteric, they say a serpent that tries to eat its own tail. You know what I'm saying? Because you have no other recourse. So you have to eat yourself, and then you self-consume, and then you're gone. Or you become parasitic.
Yeah, and you start yourself. Yeah, totally get that. And that energetically, because I try to see everything through energy, but what you described, and I would say, and this has given me a better understanding too, because I can now see where artificial intelligence could also be described as artificial structure, artificial matrix. I mean, you know, basically
That's
something.
necessity, you know, that has been created to keep them going. Because being condemned, which actually not condemned, you condemn yourself into a closed loop of energy and self-consume, you die. And you can't go, you're not going back to God. You don't get the energy from God. You're self-consumed, boom, you're done. Now, as far as God is concerned, it doesn't make any difference because energy never disappears. It converts itself into another form.
Yeah.
But as far as you're concerned, that's the end of you. That's the end of your identity. That's the end of your personality. That's the end of your existence. Are you with me? And that's what's happening right now with black goo and all this stuff. It's being absorbed back into the mother arc.
Yeah.
You know, they're doing this actually. There's some good stuff coming out actually.
The black goo, yeah.
What I say with from Lisa Renee.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was going to ask you about that because some of this sounds like the work she's done, but I know you've done. I know you. Yeah.
There's nobody like her.
I know. I know you've done a tremendous amount of research, and I also know that you're connected, and you since 2011, especially because there's one thing about being connected, another thing actually listening. That's part of awakening, I think. But how much of your output of the information that you're sharing so graciously with everyone, how much would you say came from research? Because you're really, that's another form of integrating. You're taking what's given to you in the physical world that your curiosities led you to, plus your connection to infinite intelligence. Would you say it's 50-50? Or would you say most of it's coming from?
Todd, I told you this, I think I started telling this that when I was a student and, you know, doing my master's, PhD, bachelor's, whatever, I was drawn to certain things, even if that was not, strictly speaking, my, you know, bread and butter, becoming a structural engineer, making money, you know, whatever. Which I never cared about money, you know. But anyway, what I'm trying to tell you is the following. I like vibration mechanics. I was enamored with vibration mechanics, which is a very, very conceptual, abstract, really, really good mechanics. A structural engineer walks the beam, looks at design, estimates things. You know what I'm saying? It's not that, I mean, yes, you can, I mean, I went to the end of structural engineering, to the highest level, which is building for earthquake and wind engineering. I almost got my PhD in that. And you're not going to believe this. 6 months I had to go, I walked away.
Wow.
No, I walked away. I was under the shower. My knees were knocking. Wow. Something was telling me, you're not going to stay here. And you shouldn't do that. I said, why? Why? I worked so hard. No. So I went to the University of Illinois, started in Continuum Mechanics. You know what I'm saying? And fracture mechanics. And I finally wrote the thesis in Micromechanics, which basically started Micromechanics. But anyway, let's forget about that. But what I'm saying is that following, everything that I did was geared to what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
I have sat down, Todd, and derived the most complicated equations without a slight book or reference to anything.
Perfect.
No, that's but perfect. You know what? This is not me. This is what I am supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I am good or I'm hot or anything like this. That's ridiculous. I told you it's like telling you somebody, oh, you're a genius. Nah, you are, there is a purpose to you. You know what I'm saying? There's a purpose that I am conscious about this. I don't forget about this. I absorb all this stuff. So basically, I developed all this catalog of information throughout my stuff, you know, from going from structural engineering to continuum mechanics to, you know what I'm saying, materials science to quantum mechanics, plasma physics. And those things I taught myself. Now, going back to your 50-50 you're saying, here's what it is. I think listen, things come to my mind, and I've done this right now sitting at this table. I remember several times this happened. I want to write something. And by some kind of, it's amazing, the computer, something happens, I type, some paper comes up. And I read this, the information's right there. So I don't have to There are certain things that comes to you are extremely unique. You are it.
Mm-hmm.
You go and read my papers, you understand what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. But there are certain things that are standard. They exist on this planet. Things about genetics is about, you know what I'm saying? The base pair, this. I can write a book about genetics. I had to go read that. And by the way, I am not a biology major or life science major at all. Now it's coming together because I'm everything.
Yeah.
Everything from psychology to physiology to everything, embodiment to quantum mechanics to you name it, mechanics, cosmos, everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Are you with me? So what it is that I think what happens is that the crux of the thing comes to me that is it's where you need to go, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, those people who are watching me right now, read my papers, probably can relate.
Yeah, and I've read a few.
Not everybody does either, because
yeah.
It's, you know, they have learned. I've watched people in the past 7-8 years. They have grown so much. I have followers or friends on Facebook. I put them against anybody at MIT. Because, you know, they may not know a lot of mumbo jumbo. They don't need to know.
Right.
But when it comes to cosmology, consciousness, you know what I'm saying? Soul, all this kind of stuff. They know stuff that the other people are just lost. In fact, they're at the disadvantage because they keep themselves boxed up. And their ego, first of all, works with them. And then also, they don't want to lose control. And then they're so scared. There's such a thing in the scientific area. It's just that you can get blackballed. You can be, you know, because there's a lot of stuff they don't want you to talk about. I was just actually watching a program yesterday about this lady archaeologist in Mexico, that when she started talking about 210,000 years ago, humans are that old. She lost her job at the university, all that stuff. And it's happened to a lot of people, but I don't give it to him. I don't need anybody. Yeah. You know, people are coming in here to publish my papers, and I say no. So I don't need them. I don't need international journals. They have come to me. I actually sent, did you know, I wrote 3 papers for one of the international journals, which of course they were, you know, they wanted to publish it, and then they wanted copyright stuff. I said, I'm not signing. And my daughter, who's a copyright actually lawyer, said, Dad, why do you want to do this? You don't need this. Why do you want to give them the authority? Because later you want to use the material. You know, they say it's yours, you can use any books and stuff. Why should I give them to that? Mm-hmm. And why should they take the thing and they go make something evil out of it? I don't want that.
Yeah, it's just part of the illusionary AI constructed matrix. I mean, there's no such thing as ownership in the universe, is there?
No. The ownership is what they think exists on this planet. They think they own us. They look down on us. And for years and years, they've duped us. Yeah. Mind programming, mind slating, all these kind of stuff, black slating, you know, wiping our memories, making us to reincarnate. By the way, even that thing that they did, it didn't come out of their power. It came from the higher authorities, because they put a quarantine on us. Because we were contaminated. They didn't want us to contaminate Torah and higher and all this stuff. Okay, so now they came and said, okay, these guys are in quarantine. We can make a reincarnate. They have built this machinery, all kinds of machinery. I mean, you know, Lisa Renee has talked about a lot of this stuff, gravitron, NET, you know, Nibiru electrostatic transduction field technology, all this kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? She's very well informed because she gets her information from Guardian founders. I get a lot of abstract things. And by the way, I want to tell you this, it's funny. Because when I start writing something, and about a month later, it appears in her thing. It looks different. It sounds different, what she says. It doesn't sound different. It comes from the same abstract knowledge. You know what I'm saying?
No, I absolutely get that. I mean,
Oh my God, I just came up with this. And Lisa's saying this now. And
I
it's
think
the latest
there,
blog that she says it, not
there's
the oldest one.
there's a lot of that going on right now. It's
Yeah.
accelerated. It's become more. I see it every day in the work that I do. Some people that aren't as known as Lisa Renee or yourself, but they have excellent
Oh,
intel.
absolutely. The
I don't
field
think
is
any
open.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can pull anything. I don't think anybody can pull something down, so to speak, from infinite intelligence and then run it through ourselves and then put it out, no matter how fast you do it, without having a little bit of it. Is going to be imperfect. But there are a lot of people that are writing stuff that have been consistently putting intel out there for a long time, and it's all starting to match, which is where I kind of want to go with
Yes.
this. Regardless of everything that's happened, a story is a story. You're right. We are huge. We are gigantic, enormous cosmic beings. We are gods and goddesses, aspects that are made in the image, that have all the abilities, even though we're in this dense realm that's quickly changing
Yeah,
as we
we're in a
change.
prison. We're in an prison of
We
unconsciousness.
we're breaking out of this prison.
Yes.
So what I'm
They're
trying,
helping us break out. Yes.
yeah, I've read
We
a lot
couldn't
of
do
your,
it ourselves. We
yeah,
couldn't do it ourselves.
I've read a lot of the stuff that you've done, and there's so many different subjects that we could talk about. But I want to take a
Well, come
subject
back.
that's,
Come back. Call
yeah,
me again. I'll be more than
yes,
happy to help.
I would love to. Do you have a little bit more time right now?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. So, I'm just going to use an example. So I'm going to take a subject that you've written about that has no science whatsoever until it comes to you, but in tradition has no science at all. And then you're coming from a spiritual scientific perspective, researcher, in everything that you do. Let's talk about divine unions, sacred unions. Some people call them twin flames, the energy and the role. You're
Heroes
the
Gammas.
only, Harios, you're the only scientist that I've seen so far, and I'm not saying there's not any out there, that's actually considering this. Now, as an example, if you look at the energies or the symbolicism of Jesus and Mary Magdalene, the only information that's come out besides the Da Vinci Code, but the only thing there's been a lot of information come out from people that have channeled and downloaded from that energy complex information, no different than the information you pull down about many of the subjects that you have. But you don't see science or even history talking about Magdalene and Jesus being a couple, what they represent, and so on. You've written about sacred union, sacred sexuality, Harios Gamos. What is, as a scientist, as you, what's your take on that? What is the, go ahead.
Heroes Gammas is not some kind of a twin flame, sexual, physical, or anything of that nature. It goes back to Trinity. You have the expansive quanta, you have the contractive quanta, they come together to the 0 point and they form the Trinity.
Yes.
Our procreation is based upon that. The whole topic that I told you, self-similar fractalization of God, is based upon that. Okay? So these are all on an energetic level, my friend. Okay? So this is stuff that's garbage that shows up. Twin flame, my twin flame, and all this stuff. This is all wishy-washy stuff human beings put their projections into it, and they have very little knowledge of it. Heroes Gammas basically means, look, listen, I have talked about these topics. If you want to talk about it later, we do. And if you want to look them up, go ahead and do that. Okay.
Well, I just want you to know that my wife has been downloading Harios Gamos information for 20 years. We're in a sacred union. We don't like the term twin flame at all.
I have a new take on it though. I'm really, you said to me as a scientist, listen, there is nothing we can say that's never been said. Well, information existed, but they hid it from us. They distorted it. They put paltering into it and all this stuff. So,
but the information, I guess the information is there now
right.
for people like you, for like my wife and I and many other people. My question is, what is the role, whether it be two people or as people talk about the marriage within, what is the role of anchoring sacred union back onto this planet? Is it real? Do you as a scientist see that there are, okay.
You can't evolve without it, my friend. You can't evolve. Listen, you right now, there is such a thing that I have referred to as the conjugate mirrored spacetimes. There is such a thing about duality principle. This is where I'm different than Lisa Lerner. I am abstract. I come from God. You know what I'm saying? She comes from Guardians, and Guardians give them information. I'm into cosmos. She's into universe. Okay? But universe is just a small part of cosmos. Okay? And I'm not knocking that. She's doing a wonderful job. I love this lady. I really want to meet her someday. You know, and she's the one person I like to sit down because she has information that the Guardians give her the information. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, let me go back to this. Without Heros Gamos, you cannot evolve. You can't go to the next stage of your evolution or consciousness expansion. Right now, you have 12 sets of aspects of you. They're scattered in what we call parallel and anti-parallel worlds. Okay, so you want to really understand what parallels and anti-parallel worlds mean, because people don't understand it. Even Lisa Renee mentions it sometimes as parallel worlds. I don't like her terminology. It's not purely, and it's a little confusing. I don't know. I should talk to her. But anyway, I don't want to. Anyway, okay. Parallel, anti-parallel worlds, conjugate mirrored spacetime. It goes to world of matter and antimatter. You got a world of matter, you've got a world of antimatter, and then you've got the 0 point. You have a triunion of universes. There are 3 universes that simultaneously exist as we speak. There is 2 of you right now, exactly like you, but the other one, you quantumly spin this way, the other one, your quanta of energy spins the other way. We can call that male, one female, energetically speaking.
And where's the third one?
The third one is the 0 point, when you two guys come together.
Okay.
Okay? That's God.
Yes.
That's being Trinity. That's going into the neural network of God and into the mind of the unified field and the mind of God. Okay? Are you with me?
Yes.
Everything is energy. Everything is quanta of energy vibrating. Everything else is illusion. It's all experience. It's experience something consciousness so you can expand your consciousness more, so you can appreciate this magnificent entity we call God and its consciousness. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Are you with me? So Heros Gamos has different levels. In the 3rd to 5th dimension, you have 12 aspects of you. Okay? 6 of them are identical, but they're female and male.
Yes.
6 other ones are slightly different into parallel and anti-parallel level, okay? Each of these 6, mutually, they have to join together to get into a 0 point. And then all 12 of you should become 1. Not 2 even, 1. That's the Hero Gamma's aspect of you in the HU1, harmonic universe first harmonic universe. After that, you can go to the 2nd harmonic universe. In the 2nd harmonic universe, there's 12 expressions of you. Conglomerate set of the 12. Each 12 is 1 now. Okay? Those are arranged in the same fashion between the world of antimatter and matter. They have to come together. So you have to, when you get there in the 5th dimension, you got to join with your twin. And then your buddy, your another aspect of you, which is you, and its particles are vibrating like you, but they're at the phase. They're lagging or leading. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It creates another entity. They have to come together. When they come this, it goes to your consciousness seat, which basically also is called monad or oversoul.
Yeah.
Are you with me?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when you go to the oversoul, then after that, you can get the final thing and become an avatar. When you become avatar, you leave the 9 dimensions of physicality, which basically there's all kinds of action going, shearing action, tension, compression. Like, in your body, and take a look at this. You can pull your skin, right? Once you have a physical existence, you quantum particle are bonding together, and then you can stretch those bonds. That's tension, compression, or they can slide over each other. I've written about these. I wrote papers in 2016. Tons of stuff got bombarded in my head. So I wrote about 75 papers, believe it or not. 75, full paper. But I am going back to some of this stuff in a much better sense, bringing back, because I never even knew the stuff that I'm saying as such substantial stuff. Now, trust yourself. When the information comes in, it comes from a higher dimension. You can understand it so well and try so hard to explain it. In 6 months, in a year, in 2 years, you say, good God, did I write this?
Yeah.
Because, you know what I'm saying? I have introduced conjugate mirrored space-time. I was probably one of the first ones who talked about matter, antimatter, quantum consciousness theory about 10 years ago. Of course, it existed before. I'm not saying must have existed, you know what I'm saying? But the way I did it, whatever, anyway. Anyway, going back to that, I just want to draw your attention to some important things. I'm not trying to tell you, hey, go read me. Don't read me. All the best to you, you know what I'm saying? Whatever you do, I love you as a human being, and I try to serve you. I'm trying to help you to get there faster. If you don't, but you should do what you should do. You should not even listen to what I'm saying. Don't let me sell myself to you. You go and decide by yourself.
Absolutely. That's right. That's what Buddha said. And that's why even like people like Lisa Renee,
That's why I don't write books. I don't publish books. I don't sell books. That's why I can't sell the things, all expenses paid, and even with stipends.
In your effort to assist people to ascend, I know for me, I see a lot of value in breaking things down to the human level, at least to begin with, because a lot of people are pulling information and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But we're 99% of the time conscious here. I'm as Todd, and
Mm-hmm.
with less than, theoretically less than 1% of my consciousness of, my true consciousness, whatever. But my point is, like, for instance, you opened up the show talking about the history and explained very, very concisely the narrative of energetically the masculine power being granted through AI structuring more power than over the feminine, which affects all of us.
They changed the spin rotors, yes.
So my question is, at a human level, okay, I'm a man, you're a man, incarnation. How important is it for each one of us, man or woman?
Right. It doesn't make them man and woman are the same. They're not different.
But how important is it, or is it not, for each one of us to bring up that feminine energy within ourselves and therefore bring down that masculine?
Very important, my friend.
And let me ask you this, for instance, how would you explain to someone to do that, and or how have you done it yourself?
Okay. I've actually always in my life been very, very prone to, I have 3 children. A lot of people thought, no, I look more masculine than I was. You know what I'm saying? Because this is how we're conditioned, how we show ourselves or whatever. And that's also, you come in here, your right side is actually masculine. Your left side is feminine. Your right side is more electrical. The left side is more, magnetic. Yes. And you're electromagnetic. They both come together and creates you. There is a spinning ratio between the two things, okay? The electrical and magnetic, okay?
Yes.
I mean, we are supposed to be totally equal, okay? By the way, the one that is in the other, your twin self, is a complete opposite of you. One side is, when you're masculine, it's feminine. When you're feminine, it's masculine. Because you are in matter, you are going counterclockwise. That one is in antimatter. It's going clockwise. So from another point of view, that's male and female, which is not quite electric magnetic. It's field within field. I don't know if you understand, but anyway,
yes.
Going back to this, here's what it is. The feminine aspect of you has been stolen from you personally, and all of us coming together, giving to the planetary logo, which is the brain of the planet, because the planet's alive, just like you.
Of course.
It just looks like a sphere. That planet is rotating because of you. You make it rotate. It's your consciousness that makes it rotate, spin. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, this one spins counterclockwise. There's another one that spins clockwise in the omni Earths. There's a bunch of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And as I said, they're at the different phase angles. Okay. Anyway, it all goes back to quantum mechanics. Okay. But anyway, I'm sorry, I did something. Okay. To answer your question, my friend, is that your feminine side is very sacred. It's been stolen from you. They've robbed you. You know why Earth is tilted? You know why it's 23 degrees tilted, 23.5 degrees?
Because
the magnetic part.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's stolen. The magnet, it's all done metatonic reversal and getting into all these gravitron, all this kind of stuff, which runs from Moon and Saturn and all that stuff. But artificially, they have changed all this stuff. They have tried to manipulate the conscious mechanics of God. Okay, and it's come to a point that it's really hitting the fan, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's being corrected.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, but you need your feminine part. Now, what is my feminine part? I stayed home as a professor, as a very successful professor at Georgia Tech. My wife wanted to be a physician.
Yes.
I put her to medical school, and she was so worried. She said she can't do both. I stayed home. I became a house father. I'm one of the very few people in 1970s, 80s, in the 70s, 80s, or 90s that I had the diaper bag and I had the thigh. I was the quintessential mom.
I did some of that. I had 6 of them.
I did it almost full time. I mean, I went to university and came back.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I actually didn't advance but I didn't care. It's a personal thing. See, this is what I told you. A lot of stuff don't make sense to you at this time. Now they make sense to you. I worked on my feminine part.
Yeah.
I came in touch with my feminine part.
So with that example, part of what a person could do would be to cultivate the feminine aspect within themselves.
Number one, my friend, spit on misogyny.
Of course.
Forget on misogyny. Look down on it, fight it. Yeah. Number 2, when you have a beautiful heart. By the way, when we say a female, females have male in them.
Of course.
Females have bad energies in them. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like a male becoming feminine. The feminines have to rediscover their femininity too.
Exactly.
There is no difference between male and female. It's just the gender. It's a matter of procreation in physicality, earth transduction, all this kind of stuff. That's different than energetic. The energies exist in both of us, male and female. Now, males have been conditioned to say just because that person has their sexual organs inside or their curved bodies or whatever, they're no good. We're better than them. We're stronger. We have muscles. That's nonsense. Are you with me?
Yes, of course.
But at the same time, the female have also masculine. It's not like they're purely female and we're purely male in here, and now we have to do this. You know, we have to correct these, both of us.
But
Male,
at a conscious human level, it would seem that's like we have to make
seek
actually,
God. Seek God. Seek God. You understand divine feminine. Seek God, because it's love. It's the attracting towards center of cosmos, which is God. It's the magnetic aspect.
Is there understanding that everything's energy? I understand from your explanation earlier that what created AI came from God. AI was created.
No, it did not create it. It became anthropic, and they hang on that information that they had, and they put it into nefarious.
I understand.
Like we can do weapons.
I understand.
Fusion is good, but bombs are bad.
I understand, but I want to make sure I understand. I said I understand. I want to make sure I understand. So everything came from God. This is what you said a minute ago. Hang on. Because I said, did AI come from God? And you said, yes, but it turned its back. Energetically, it turned its back. And we talked about how that actually can drill down to us. You know, we can turn our back, and we have, and ignored, you know what I mean? So I guess what I'm trying to say, let me just say it a different way. Is there anything that we should close our heart to? Anything at all? Do we not have the unlimited potential to bring into alignment any and everything that comes across our path, whether it be energetic, dimensional, interdimensional, or in the physical experience?
I have a suggestion for you. Number one priority, on top, close your mind to artificial intelligence.
I don't see a difference. I'm still there. I don't see a difference. People talk about the moon.
Don't fantasize about all this 5G technology.
I don't. 5G doesn't scare me. Fluoride doesn't scare me. GMOs don't scare me. None of this shit scares me.
5G.
It doesn't scare me. It's not. I am God. That has no power over me. I am consciously connected. I'm consciously connected to the infinite morphic field where I can gain anything and everything. I'm above. You talked about
you're special, you're unique. This is why you're doing this program.
We all are.
But I'm saying people, and we are potential.
But you said a minute ago that Lisa Renee was more she was getting her information from the Guardians, as an example. I'm just giving this as an
Guardian founders, yes, that's
okay. That is more of a universal thing. You're coming from above that. Your connection.
No, I didn't say that. Please don't. Please do not get into hierarchy stuff.
No, I'm not.
I am not any better than Lisa Renee. She is.
I know.
She knocks the socks out of me in what she does.
I know. Okay? I'm trying to make. I'm not
better
saying
than you or anybody else.
I know that. I'm not saying that. Forgive me if you thought that. I'm sorry if I said it wrong. What I'm trying to say is, I'm sorry. It's just it's not what I meant. What I'm trying
okay, but I don't want the people to misunderstand.
I got you. My apologies.
We can't disrupt their peace. We cannot confuse them. It's very important. We have a responsibility.
Yes. What I'm trying to establish is along the lines of what you said earlier, in the understanding that everything is duplicated. Okay, so you talked about the different bodies within the body, right? For instance. And all I'm trying to say is that somebody can be getting information from one part of God, somebody can get information from another part of God. You described her, if I'm not mistaken, as more of a universal or galactic type of thing, which is fine. Mm-hmm. And you had mentioned a couple of times, and I feel the same way. The information is coming from one place, directly from the source. Mm-hmm. So what I'm trying to say is the description and the reality of 5G and anything in this AI construction a threat, so to speak, a challenge or an obstacle that ultimately, in a nutshell, we give our power away to out of fear-based programming that is effective at a certain level. But can we not ascend or connect to the source at a higher level, higher than galactic, to put everything in the proper perspective and to create a larger field of sovereignty where 5G doesn't affect me, reptilians don't affect me, or anything else that they might produce in this realm?
Absolutely. The answer to that is that, do you have the power? Yes. Are you endowed with that power? Yes. It's called free will. It's called sovereignty. Okay.
Yes.
Will you do it? Depends. Because you have free will. You can go this way, you can go that way. You can be duped. You know what I'm saying? All this glitter, glamour, you know what I'm saying? Technology, all this nonsense, which they're not going to give it to you. All this what is it? Transhumanism and stuff like this. It is another example of their paltering way. The way that they brought Jesus to you, okay? Or they put it, they glorified Jesus, but to use Jesus. And the most important things, they use all kinds of paltering in Bible, and they've done it in all religions to produce hypocrisy, superstitions, and fear, and you mentioned it yourself, and all this stuff, okay? So the point is that 5G, do we have to worry about it? No, if we don't let it.
Right. Coronavirus.
Can we be concerned about it? Yes, because everything is collective consciousness. This planet is a conglomerate set of all the consciousness that's you, that me, and those derailed people out there.
Of course.
And that's what bothers me on a day-to-day basis.
But this is this is my question. Why is that a bother? I'm not judging you. This is something that we're all contending. No. This is something we're all
fighting against it, you know.
This is something we're all contending with. If something's bothering me, let's just say it's the thought of 5G or coronavirus or anything, it has nothing to do with that external thing. It has to do with my own.
No, absolutely not.
Place.
They can't invade your consciousness space if you don't allow it. You are the absolute owner, master. You are being endowed with that gift. The minute that the quantum of energy separated from God and produced you to develop your identity, personality, okay? Are you with me?
Yes.
That you are the master of that. They can't do that, but you have to not allow it. But they have been very successful through fear, anxiety, paltering stuff, duping you, lying to you. I mean, there are people out there like me, you know, professors, you know, and educated people. They think, oh, they're hotshot because they're putting some of these transhumanism ideas in their head. What they're doing, they're actually possessing their souls through creature attachments. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Parasite attachments and all this stuff. And it works with their ego. It works with their all this stuff. And they are not doing a service to the public. And of course, the government is all there. If they publish something, it goes. If I publish something, I have a problem in getting it through Facebook. You know, lastly, 2 days ago, typing this thing to this guy, answering a question. You know what I'm saying? I typed so much, it wiped it off. Yeah. And they've done this a lot of times. So you know what I do? I actually type it on a computer, I cut and paste it. Because when they do this, I don't have it anymore. I have to rewrite it, you know? And they've done all kinds of stuff. But I'm a very little, because I'm not that much of a threat to them as much, you know? But they attack me, all sorts of things. They try
as a scientist, spiritual scientist, scientific spiritual, Uh, if is it possible, as this, we're using this as an example. That's it. It's nothing about you. This is a great example. If something is attacking me, we'll use me. If something's attacking me from my perception, can I not bring my personal field into greater alignment and therefore change my frequency to a higher frequency, which means this lower frequency doesn't even exist in my experience anymore? Is that possible?
I am so sorry. I lost you. Can you repeat the question quickly?
Okay. So what I'm saying is that,
Approximately.
yeah, if something is, from my perspective, is bothering me, is attacking me, can I not?
Your voice doesn't break up.
Hey, I think they're working against us. Is what's happening.
There's a lot of noise in the field.
I know.
Putting up with it. There's
All right.
a lot. Your voice gets scrambled and all.
See, there's something going on here.
I don't know.
And yours has actually been doing it, and I don't know if anybody can hear it, but
has it really?
Yes, absolutely. That's why I keep doing this. Listen, let me ask you, what part of Florida are you in?
I'm in actually Palm Coast. Palm Coast by Daytona, by St. Augustine. Closest.
Yeah. I lived in St. Augustine, so you're on the East Coast. Okay.
Oh, you're 10 miles away from me.
Yeah. So I'm going. Yeah, I lived in St. Johns County. Yeah, at Julington Park. I think it was called Julington Park. When they first. Now, okay. So we're going to. I'm going to reach out to you if you're open to it, so we can have more discussions. This is fascinating.
Sure.
We probably just got that far.
It's a layered process.
Yeah.
It's a layered process, my friend. Consciousness comes in layers. Your light body is in layers. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it just comes in, you feel comfortable, you absorb it, becomes yours. That information is yours then. Because all it is, I'm just basically, if I'm helping, I'm resonating, I'm attenuating what's already in your genes. And you say, aha. Once you said aha, that's you. It's not me.
Yeah.
The only service that I do is inspiring. That's all.
Yeah, there's a lag too. Okay, well, we made it an hour and 32 minutes, and that's 30 minutes, and thank you for staying another 30 minutes. We got so much to talk about. We're glad to get together. We'd love to get together again and do it again. We might be in the area. That's the reason I was asking you where you're at. We're going to head down to. We're in St. Pete Beach right now. We're going to head down to Fort Lauderdale for 10 days. We've been gifted a place to hook up our RV and broadcast, and then we're going to have to head north at some point. So maybe we can swing by and do a show sitting side by side.
My pleasure. Anything I can do for a service to my fellow man, you know what I'm saying? Unconditionally, without any expectation. If that pleases them, and if it helps them, and I that's the only thing I live for, Todd. I'm very happy, very well off in many ways. God takes care of me. And you know what I'm saying? I live in the 0 point. I mean, any minute that I'm distracted, either I'm pulled back or I'm there. Sometimes it gets overwhelming in terms of writing because you got to bring it into physicality from a light language or whatever that comes in your, you know what I'm saying? You have to decipher that and put it. It takes time, but it's a method. But apart from that, it's lovely. I mean, if I could just live in the 0 point and not do what I'm doing, it would be lovely. But then when you have to bring it into manifestation for others and stuff, write papers and stuff. But I love that too. I love when I see people read the stuff.
Yeah.
I just love it. I see that that it has made a difference.
Absolutely.
That's the nicest thing that makes me happy.
Yeah.
So I'm at your service. I'm at everybody's service.
That's right. We're at each other's. All of us are at each other's service. We all want to see this thing go into full alignment. I'm a big believer that the highest activations, downloads, and channelings come
We
from
need more people like you,
conversations like this.
you know, to speed up the process, because the stuff that I'm doing, as my brother says, who's an world authority on genetics, and he's read my stuff in genetics. And then he says to me, it's going to take 2, 3, 4, 500 years for people to completely absorb everything. But I want to tell you this, the thing is that the thing that you do that's wonderful, you accentuate the process. I'm very bad. I'm a very isolated man. I mean, I don't have time. I have to write.
Yeah.
That's why I don't travel, because it takes a month. Last year I went to Ulu. It took a month of my life.
Yeah.
You know, which was good. I did good, but you know what I'm saying? I think I could do better with my audience, maybe, and my audience is like this one. I mean, we've got about 6 billion people or whatever, 7 billion people.
7.7 is what I heard, but
7.7 billion.
who knows? I don't believe anything they tell us. I'd rather go up there.
If you do this much, we're happy. But if it can be a little more, it is better. It's more satisfying. Know what I'm saying? So I thank you very much, my friend. I think
Same
you're
here.
doing a wonderful job. Keep doing what you're doing. With the love that you put, unconditional love into this, it's admirable. And say thanks to Morgan Lee. And
Thank you
by the way, we should be friends.
Yes.
And I hope that you're a very busy man. Obviously, you're doing this. You don't have time to read and stuff. But if you ever want to talk to me, text me, have questions, discuss things, clarify things, see something you read or seen or whatever, or anywhere else, ask my opinion. You know, I am delighted.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And on behalf of everybody, endless gratitude, love, honor, respect, reverence, and peace out. And best to you, all blessings to you and yours. And we'll see you sooner than later.
Thank you very much, my friend.
Thank you, brother. You take care. Bye-bye.